Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers, and I'm really excited, you guys, to share this article with you. I think it brings some absolutely amazing points up as far as a recession and how a recession is actually going to crash the housing market and what that looks like, being that we don't have enough supply, right? So in 2008, we had hyper supply. Fast forward to today, we do not have hyper supply. What we have is exhausted demand. So we're going to take a look at how exhausted demand is actually replacing hyper supply in our current housing market. Now, I absolutely love it, you guys. I love this article. I think you guys are really going to learn a lot of new concepts here. Now, again, like I have been saying, you guys, I think we're in a recession right now, but once that recession is confirmed, the true beast, the true problem, the true disaster that we have right now is going to be visible to the naked eye. And that's why I keep saying the fear of missing out is going to shift onto the sellers. In fact, it's already shifting, as evident in all of these price cuts. And I see them all over the place in my local market. So that is great news. But today, again, we're going to read an article from Insider called "We've Skipped a Key Phase in the Typical Real Estate Cycle." And next up is a recession. Now, you guys remember, I'm not a financial advisor, even if I want to be, even if I want to work with you. There's a process for that. This is just my personal YouTube channel. I give you guys my thoughts. I give you guys my opinions, and I try to give you guys a video every single day. So please, you guys, for those efforts, like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and please comment below, turn on notifications, all of those things. Now, you guys know my bio is as a realtor, loan officer, and instructor. And right now in my career, I've kind of taken a step out of origination and sales, and I've started really going deep on education and empowerment, because I absolutely thrive on watching people grow, become empowered, and I absolutely love being a part of that. That's true legacy. Money is temporary. Remember that. But let's get started on this article right now. You guys, I absolutely love this article. Please go to my description, tap the link, and read this bad boy for yourself and share it with your friends, because everyone's, everyone's holdup is, oh, we can't have a crash. There's not enough supply. Let's read this article right now. The home buying game is changing. Pandemic era mortgage deals are over, and affordability has plummeted for many potential buyers. However, despite waning demand, home prices remain high in the housing market across the country, and it's caused many Americans to wonder what comes next. A typical real estate cycle occurs in 4 phases: expansion, hypersupply, recession, and recovery. But what happens when a factor is missing from the equation? A senior economist at Moody's Analytic told Insider that the nation's lack of available housing inventory is throwing the entire cycle for a loop. And I would absolutely agree with that. Now, if you're one of those people that is only holding on that one data point, right? We have so many data sets, but if you're just holding on that one thing, we don't have enough supply, and you're putting your head in the sand, you're doing yourself a disservice, because there are so many data points and so many factors that are causing our housing market to basically crumble. It's not just supply. Although supply, that data point, is very, very important, but it's not the only thing. Let's get back to this article right now. The article continues. In the typical narrative, the hypersupply is because construction companies overbuild, and there becomes a glut of housing units. This occurring during the housing bubble preceding the Great Recession. However, at the national level, we still see a severe housing shortage. During the housing bubble of the mid-2000s, a mixture of cheap debt, predatory lending practices, and complex financial engineering led to many borrowers being placed into mortgages they could not afford. I'm pretty sure that's happening right now, but let's continue. When the bubble burst, it gave rise to a foreclosure crisis among homeowners, as well as a credit crisis among the investors who owned bonds backed by these underwater mortgages. This caused a surplus of homes to flood the market, sent home prices plummeting, and contributed to the recession. But in 2022, things are much different. Residential construction has fallen to its lowest pace since April 2021, and the housing market needs to build millions of homes to meet buyer demand. So you guys, where are we going to get the inventory from, right? Everyone asks, where are we going to get the inventory from? But the first thing I need to tell you is chill the heck out and understand the housing market takes time for things to happen. Plus, there's the big market, and then there's the small local markets, which change differently. But here's the thing, I'm going to tell you where we're going to get the supply. The normal resales, we may not get as many resales because of all the low interest rate refinancing and purchasing, but we're still going to get resales. Mark my words on that. Plus, you guys, again, even though home sales constructions are down, they still have so much building they're doing. We're going to continuously get inventory dumps from the new builders like we have just started getting. Plus, also, here's something I don't talk about. Like I said, if things get too crazy and if the Fed does continue to overcorrect, right, or overcorrects, investors are going to start dumping their houses. The speculation is going to be gone out of the market, the non-owner occupied, the investment, the rentals, the Airbnbs. If people can't afford to keep those houses and it doesn't make sense, they will sell them because many investors are cash investors and they probably are going to want liquidity. So if that happens, you guys, that will help us fill up our inventory shortage. Now, the question also is will there be a foreclosure crisis? It's absolutely possible. I think it's absolutely going to happen. I don't think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to equal 2008 levels, but I definitely see foreclosures and defaults skyrocketing just as soon as all of the dust settles, right? And people start understanding the real situation that we're in, because there are so many people that either they just don't care or they don't understand. Let's get back to this article right now. The article goes on. Metcalf says, in place of hyper supply, the housing market is now entering demand exhaustion. In this phase, home prices don't fall due to the surplus of inventory. They instead decline as buyers' ability to afford them wanes. Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember me saying this? I'm not even an economist. Do y'all remember me saying this? Anyways, it goes on. This occurs not because the demand of housing has gone away, but because rising interest rates have made it so that many people can no longer afford to buy a home. This sort of buying burnout doesn't lead to dramatic price drops, but instead modest declines. And that means home prices aren't tanking like they did in 2008. That's his opinion. And I'm not sure what mine is. Like, if I really were to sit down, is it going to be worse than 2008? I really got to take a look at a lot of different data points because I take that answer very seriously. I'm not just blurting out information. I really think and meditate on it. Anyways, this goes on. Builders will continue building, but they have not been building at the levels of the housing bubble when overbuilding created a hyper supply. But they're very close, you guys. Even though they're not higher, they're very close to that same amount of building. That glut of housing was part of what led to the dramatic price drops. And here's the thing, this is why I don't think this crash is going to be as long as 2008. I believe as soon as we can show maybe 3 times more inventory, the Fed's going to flip-flop. Right? They're going to flip-flop. They're going to lower rates again. They're going to probably do some quantitative easing depending on, the administration and the president. But as soon as we have inventory, you guys, they're going to flip-flop. I'm telling you that. That's why I'm saying double down on your preparation, because we may only have a year and a half to buy. As soon as the Fed flip-flops, everyone's going to want to buy. Remember that. So you better make sure you're first in line at the very least. Let's continue on with this article. Mike Larson, a senior analyst at financial research company West Ratings, agrees that this time around, home prices will take a longer time to fall across the board. That's so interesting. I kind of have that reverse feeling, right? I doubt we see very sharp, very sudden declines in the official price statistics over the next several months. Well, okay, if they're only going to the next few months, then I can understand that statement. But as conditions soften this year, it will gradually become apparent to buyers and sellers alike that the latest, greatest housing boom is kaput. Although 19.1% of home sellers dropped their listing price during the month of May, and June is much worse, the highest level since October 2019, the median asking price of newly listed homes increased 18% year over year to a new all-time high of $418,000. So while the pace of growth is slowing, home prices are still rising in several pockets of the country, and that means demand exhaustion is just getting started. So do you guys see what I'm saying? That this is only the beginning stages, right? We're kind of like the end of the beginning stages. We're going into like the next stage, but all of these things, all of these trends, even without a recession, will continue. So even without a recession, I think the Federal Reserve is probably doing just enough to actually push this housing market into a buyer's market. So even without the recession, I think there's going to be that correction or that negative equity growth. But again, with the recession, people are going to be more worried about their jobs than buying a cool house down the street, right? They're going to be worried about putting food on their table, not about where to invest their money. I'm telling you guys, it's coming. So be prepared. And I want to end on this. You guys, double down. Double down, save more money, make more money, have higher credit, learn more about your local market, because even though this is not their opinion, my opinion is, quite frankly, they can flip-flop us again. I've learned so much about how powerful the Federal Reserve is and how wrong they are all the time. I'm never going to forget that. So again, my eggs 2023 and of 2022. Outside of that, I have no clue what's going to happen. I do believe if we didn't have so many political pressures, it would be a lot easier to call the direction of the housing market. But because of all these political pressures, who the heck really knows what's going to happen, right? But anyways, you guys, I hope you like this video. I absolutely love this article. So I'm going to start using that term more often, you guys. So instead of hyper supply, exhausted demand. Very intriguing, isn't it? I so love this article. Thank you, Insider. Now, obviously, you guys, if you're out there investing in real estate, I do wish you luck and I hope you win.